Next in our road trip around Japan, we took a ferry from Shikoku to Kyushu. In this video, we arrive in the onsen town of Beppu, go camping and biking in Takachiho Gorge, ride 2 different scenic trains, and see the 99 Island view in Nagasaki. Boats make me a little nervous, but the ferry was actually very comfortable and a smooth ride. We booked a ferry with Uejima Unyu the night before, but I think you can book a while in advance to make sure there's still a spot, especially if you're traveling by car. There are a few different ferry companies to choose from. Our route was specifically from Iwatahama on Shikoku to the city of Beppu on Kyushu. We arrived early to check in and get the tag for our car, and then drove on where they directed us. Okay, we're on the ferry. It's a little bit chaotic to park, but now we're gonna go into the cabin. In yen, we paid a little over 1 man for a small K car, plus 4,200 yen per passenger, so it was about $135 total. There are cheaper ferry options, but they were sold out since we booked so late, and this was a very comfortable ride. Inside, there were plenty of places to sit after we parked the car, plus snacks and drinks you could buy. We got some window seats, which was nice since the view was so clear. I liked standing up on the deck to take in the view, and the wind felt great on a hot August day. Pretty soon we could see the city of Beppu. The island of Kyushu is home to about 14 million people, which is just half the amount of people who live in Tokyo alone, and probably why it has a more relaxed feel. It's made up of 7 prefectures: Fukuoka, Saga, Nagasaki, Oita, Kumamoto, Miyazaki, and Kagoshima. We started in Oita Prefecture, in the hot spring resort town of Beppu. Oita actually has more onsen, or hot springs, than any other prefecture in Japan. Beppu is known for its 7 hells, or Beppu no Jigoku, several visually striking hot spring ponds displaying a variety of otherworldly pools. The different minerals naturally color the hot water. The Umi Jigoku, a bright blue sea hell, and Shinoike Jigoku, a bright red blood pond hell, are probably the most popular. But there's also a pool whose mud bubbles resemble a monk's shaven head, another named for a boiling cooking pot, a white pond, a monster mountain, and Spout Hell, named for the geyser that erupts every 30 minutes. So now we're gonna drive 2.5 hours from Beppu to a small town where there's a campground. As we were driving from Beppu to a campsite in northern Miyazaki Prefecture, we saw this interesting treehouse structure from the road that seemed to be abandoned. We got out to see what it was, but besides the signs saying not to walk inside because it wasn't structurally sound, there weren't any clues as to what it used to be. It was a really cool building regardless. It's like the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse. We were camping in the north part of Miyazaki Prefecture, near the Takachiho Gorge. This is the Nakayama Joseki, or the Nakayama Castle Ruins campground. Every evening, the main shrine in Takachiho hosts kagura dance performances. After setting up our tent, we popped into town to witness the performance. Takachiho Jinja Shrine was founded almost 2,000 years ago, and is an important place for Japanese mythology. The dances tell stories of Japan's creation, reenacting the legend of how the sun goddess, Amaterasu, hid in a cave until being coaxed out by other gods and bringing light back to the world. It's presented entirely in Japanese, but it's a very entertaining and interesting performance, regardless of whether you can understand the language. It cost 1,000 yen to enter, and the dances and stories lasted an hour. It was such a fun way to spend our evening. It's our first full day on Kyushu, and today we're gonna bike through the Takachiho Gorge. The next morning we went on a bike ride to see the Takachiho Gorge. We rode down from Nakayama campsite and across Takachiho Gorge, down by some scenic rice paddies, and finished by riding through the town of Takachiho. Just after leaving the campground, we got to cross Takachiho Gorge.
Look at this!
Here's the view of the famous Manai Falls. You can also rent boats to paddle around the river.
The Takachiho Gorge!
We then took Road 325 to Road 204, or Shinwa Agri Road. Zeb thought these solitary vending machines out here by the forest were cool. The descent just after the tunnel here was so pretty, and we rode down next to rice paddies with mountain views in the background. In fact, we enjoyed it so much that at the bottom we turned around to ride back up and descend again a second time. There was also a statue of one of the goddesses here, depicted in the kagura dance last night. On the way back, we rode through the town of Takachiho.
You see drip coffee and drop coffee.
We crossed another bridge to get back over the gorge and climb back up to the campsite. It was the perfect way to start the day since we had something exciting planned for later that morning. We'd be riding on the Amaterasu railway. Rather than being a functional form of transportation between cities, this is an open-air tourism train that takes place on Takachiho's heritage railway. This track is no longer operating as a functioning passenger train after typhoon damages to the track in 2005. Instead, this nostalgic railway was reopened as a ride to admire the scenic views of the Takachiho Gorge. The tickets are 2,000 yen per adult, which is almost $13, so it was kind of expensive for such a short 30-minute ride, but I think for a one-time experience it was worth it and fun. Finally, it was our time to board. This would be a fun thing to do as a family, and there were people of all ages lining up to wait for the train. The train was a pretty leisurely pace, but the slight breeze felt good on such a sweltering August day. The best part was getting out on the 105-meter high bridge, one of the highest railroad tracks in the country. The ride paused here to take in the view, and then we returned on the same tracks. Afterwards, we drove north to Fukuoka, where we would stay for the next few days. We started our time there with a bike ride around the Munakata area, just north of Fukuoka City. There was more car traffic here in this part of Kyushu, but I did enjoy the bike paths along the ocean and along the Onga River.
Hello!
The Sea of Japan was really blue, and it was so pretty seeing it here on our ride. Make sure you subscribe though, because in the next video we'll be back on Honshu, traveling along the Sea of Japan coast, and the ocean views get even more incredible. From Fukuoka, we got to make a couple day trips, including a day on the 36+3 Scenic train. I love trains, and I had been looking forward to this for a while. We booked this train through Klook, and started in Hakata Station in Fukuoka City. The name Sanju Roku plus San is how you say 36 plus 3 in Japanese. It's a mouthful of a name for a train, but it comes from the fact that Kyushu is the 36th largest island in the world, and the plus 3 represents the customers, local residents, and the railway company, who come together to make this train experience a reality. As a bonus, adding 36 plus 3 makes 39, and since 3 and 9 are pronounced sankyu in Japanese, it's also meant to sound kind of like thank you, expressing thanks to all the passengers, Kyushu residents, and everyone supporting Japan Rail Kyushu with this train. The Sanju Roku plus San stands out with its sleek black and gold-trimmed exterior, exuding luxury, and everyone was taking photos and videos as it pulled up. We would be heading south to Kagoshima today, sitting in car 5 in the single seats 3D and 4D. We happened to board on car 4 though, which is the lounge car open to all guests, and I was immediately blown away by the beautiful design. We went to find our seats before getting too distracted though, and entered the neighboring car 5. Each train car is a little different, which I'll show you more about in a bit. Ours had these stylish individual seats and a beautiful wooden floor. There were so many impressive details throughout every inch of the train carriage. You could see the attention to detail everywhere, from the gold accents and artwork to the wood design and pretty lighting. As we finally pulled away from the station, you could see the station crew waving goodbye and sending us off in such a friendly way. This is true for almost all train seats in Japan, but you can press the lower lever to rotate the seat and face each other, which was nice to do in these individual seats. Once we started moving, I wanted to explore the rest of the train, starting with that lounge car that we had already seen briefly. This space is also used for hosting activities or workshops on the train. This beautiful wood latticework is called Okawa Kumiko, a traditional local craftwork from Okawa, Fukuoka Prefecture. This train can hold 105 passengers, and car 3 has semi-compartments. 2 to 4 people can sit in these, with roomy, couch-style seating and a table. The next car has private rooms, with the aisle on the side so that you have most of the width of the train car to yourself. You take your shoes off to enter both cars 1 and 6, since the unique flooring is tatami, or rice straw mats. It's actually the first time one of these JR Kyushu tourist trains has had this traditional flooring installed. In addition to the lounge car, there's also a cafe car where you can get drinks, snacks, and souvenirs. I got a little ice cream and drink, both specialties from Kyushu. The ice cream is honey rosa flavored, named after a kind of plum in Gyokuto town in Kumamoto Prefecture. It was really light and floral, the perfect summery ice cream flavor. The The drink was a sweet and tart citrus juice, made with hebesu, a small lime-like fruit that's local to Hyuga in Miyazaki Prefecture. We got these stickers along with a little booklet that contained facts about the region we were passing through, the train route, and spots for different stamps during the journey. Earlier I mentioned there being different routes and stations based on the day of the week. The Sanjuroku plus San makes a circuit around the perimeter of Kyushu over 5 different routes, each route highlighting a specific region. We rode the Thursday route, a long trip from Hakata to Kagoshima along the west coast of Kyushu. I think the second half of the journey after Kumamoto was the prettiest section, especially the part along the coast as we neared Kagoshima. We stopped twice along the way at different stations for 20-minute breaks to enjoy local souvenirs, snacks, and omotenashi, or the friendly hospitality that Japan is known for. Our first stop was at Tamana Station, just after leaving Fukuoka Prefecture and entering Kumamoto. There was a friendly welcome for us here on the platform, with different tables set up to share more about the tourism opportunities here and what this area was known for. There were more stamps here to add to our booklet as well. So we stop here for about 20 minutes and then you get some more stamps and you can also pick up some extra snacks or souvenirs. The bell rang to make sure everyone got back on the train again, and then it was lunchtime. We were given a delicious bento box with a generous amount of food, featuring a huge assortment of regional and seasonal foods. There was a lot of care put into the presentation, and we could keep the custom train-designed cloth that was used to wrap the boxes. There was seafood, vegetables, fruit, meat, tofu, rice, and everything tasted as good as it looked. The views out the window kept getting prettier as we made our way down Kyushu's western coast. The train follows part of the Hisatsu Orange Railway during this route. Throughout the day, the cityscape from Fukuoka slowly gave way to rice fields and rolling hills, and finally we caught glimpses of the ocean as we traced the Yatsushiro Inland Sea through Kumamoto Prefecture and into Kagoshima Prefecture. Just after entering Kagoshima, we made our second stop of the day at Ushinohama Station. Again, we were here for around 20 minutes, welcomed with painted banners, friendly neighbors and train enthusiasts, and tables selling local snacks. The station was next to a very scenic coastal view, and there were little baggies being handed out with candies and information about things to do in that area. The train ended at Kagoshima Station, and originally we planned to spend the night here. If you remember in the last video though, Japan was still under that megaquake advisory during this time, so I was a little worried about staying so close to the volcano and the southern coast during the advisory. I might have overreacted though since the advisory was lifted a day later, but we actually just took the Shinkansen back up to our hotel in Fukuoka that night, since the high-speed train only takes an hour and a half. Overall, the 36+3 train ride was one of the highlights of the whole trip for me. The next day we had another day trip from Fukuoka planned, this time going west instead of south, through Saga Prefecture to Nagasaki and back. We stopped for coffee in Imari, a port town in western Saga Prefecture, best known for its porcelain. Imari and the neighboring city of Oita are where porcelain exports began in Japan. In the late 16th century, most of Japan was closed to foreign trade, but this porcelain was an exception, exported with the Dutch East India Company, mainly to Europe. Lib Coffee is right on the Imari River, and we got some iced coffee with one of their brownies and a cheesecake slice. Everything was delicious, and the cafe was a really comfortable and relaxing spot.
We drove all the way to Nagasaki Prefecture to see a bunch of islands. It's the 99 island view, but there's even more than that.
I think it says 208.
That's a lot of islands.
Kujukushima literally means 99 islands, but there are over 200 tiny islands you can see here off the coast of Sasebo in Nagasaki Prefecture. These islands are part of the Saikai National Park, and we admired them from here at the Tenkaiho Observatory. This is the highest density of islands in Japan. You can also see them up close on one of the many cruise tours that are offered here. There's so much more to see in Kyushu that we'll have to enjoy in the future, but in the next video, we'll be back on Honshu and driving up the Sea of Japan coast, starting with Yamaguchi and Shimane prefectures. Thanks for joining us on our road trip.